And it's always fun to see kind of the evolution of picks and bans throughout the first 2 games, because game 1 for EG was very much about them playing their tried and true everything and ultimately having their counter to it. And then EG kind of got a second round, and Wicked pulled out Kennen. They tried to bait an Aatrox into their own hands, and they got denied from it pretty quickly. And then, of course, having that all-important counter pick at the end, EG adapted just enough, but still stuck to the things that were good for them. And now that it's back to kind of the game 1 setup, I just want to see what happens.
We don't actually know what's going on. I'd love to be able to figure it out and hear the teams in between, but one thing that we can see is that the bans have stayed the same as game number 2.
Yeah, and they went with the first pick Sona over the Aatrox, which I think is actually fairly key. Crepo's Crescendos really did key off a lot of the big moves for them in that game, but it does leave Aatrox available for Wicked if he wants it. He is undefeated on Aatrox if Alternate doesn't take it away from him right here.
Well, let's have a look. Right now, sat with Zilean, which they always seem to do alternate. I think that one day we will see a Zilean out of them at some point in the future. But it is going to be that Aatrox coming back down, along with a Varus here coming out for Creaton. So 3 different AD carries in 3 games.
A lot of very red eyes and stuff on those 2 picks. A lot of demon-y type figures for Varus. I do like the Varus pick for them, and because it opens up more versatility for whatever Pharrell Lord wants to play. Having the extra utility added from that Varus ultimate always gives you freedom in your other 2 roles to not necessarily have to take that much crowd control.
Well, let's have a look for Evil Geniuses. Looking like they're saying it's not broken, so let's not try and fix something that isn't. With that Jarvan and a possible Kennen, who were actually sat there with Caitlyn for a little while as well. Either way, it's the same as last game.
Yeah, they had a lot of success having 4 ranged attackers when they're outside their turrets, and I guess they're basically daring Kerp to come at Wicked's Kennen, because his laning in that matchup was just so dominating right there.
So let's see then. We're expecting obviously the mid lane is going to be left until last alternate got more of a freedom with that, and as you can see, Pharrell Lord knows it. He's pretty chilled right now.
Yeah, he's not thinking about his pick yet. He's thinking about the rest of the team. They already know what they're going against in a Kennen if they want to pick their top laner, and they know basically what bottom lane they're going to see. They can almost expect a Caitlyn pick from Pete, so they really get to just kind of pick and choose their bottom lane and their top lane right now. Would they do that again?
And we're going to be seeing a Karma Blitzcrank coming in here. So Jerry, who has played Blitzcrank, Thresh, the Hook styles in the past. Karma, we've already seen Kurt run it in this top lane.
Yeah,
but it's been to I was going to say mixed success, but it hasn't really been mixed success. They've not been able to bring that Karma into late game situations every single time that he's brought it out.
Yeah, I don't feel like Karma makes it into late game situations for the most part, as long as she's heavy farm. I feel like the utility she brings does transition, but if you're putting all your farm into a Karma who doesn't have that true ultimate later in team fights, and honestly can't reach the backline in any significant way in late game fights, it's dangerous to bring at this point. I still remember, I guess because I haven't done all the European games over in here, the top lane he played versus Gambit when they picked Karma.
Yeah.
Triple Doran's ring, but he didn't even get the lane down. The fact that they pull it back out again shows an absurd amount of confidence in his own Karma ability, because based on prior results, it was not strong.
So we've seen the Ahri now finished off here then, so it's pretty much the same as game number 2, except the mid laner obviously been changed out. They went with Orianna in game 2. This time they'll fall back to that Ahri, so pretty much exactly the same lineup. Looks like Pharrell Lord might go for the Orianna of his own, opting away maybe from that Diana that he's played 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it's very interesting here because he has, while he's picked Orianna tied for his most on the year, he's only been 3 and 5 with it. So he's had a couple big plays, but he goes with it almost as a default when he's out of options at this point. He didn't want to play Diana 3 times in a row, and I suppose he didn't feel comfortable playing the Fizz, which is what a lot of people do play against Ahri. This is a very interesting team comp for Ultimate.
And that Blitzcrank coming out for Jay Reed. A champion which, like I said, he does like to play the Thresh, played 8 games of it this season. Going for Blitzcrank this time, which kind of surprised when they didn't go with Thresh anyway, because I think a lot of teams favor Thresh and his kit with that hook rather than the Blitzcrank's kit with his hook.
Yeah, it's the all-in potential right now, because when Thresh misses a hook, it's not as powerful as a Blitzcrank hook, but he has more left.
Yeah.
So it's really putting more confidence in your ability to land the grab and less almost in the rest of the game. And against EG, he pretty much just has to hook Yellow Peter Krepo, because if he gets a Frog in or a Wicked or even a Snoopy, they're mostly pulling in problems or things that can escape.
Well, let's see how this one works out. It's all on this final game. We can almost forget what we've seen in games 1 and 2, because this is the game that really matters now. And well, EG between games 1 and 2 obviously had big talking, big conversation about what was going to change. And they nailed it. Whatever they talked about, whatever they decided to go for, obviously a changing composition for 1, really worked for them in game number 2. We'll see now if they can bring it through into game 3. But alternate, on the other hand, a slower winning game 1 than what we just saw from EG, who finished it out in under 30 minutes. But they've had that chat as well, and there's always a potential for them to come into game 3 with something new, to bringing something new to the table.
And it just all comes down to this one game. EG effectively had 31 games during the season because they had to play 3 playoffs. Now this, and it's just all the things they put into the season. They're bringing out their best stuff kind of yet again, plus a few changes if you're looking at EG. Froggen's back on Ari again. Krepo's only lost once with Sona. Then you look over at alternate. Blitzcrank is all in for them. I feel like the Karma top lane is also a bit of an outside strategy. I feel like Alternate's reaching more with this because they feel more at risk than EG right now. We'll see if it translates into the play.
And it'd be scary to think as well, if EG end up losing this one, 2 out of the 3 teams from last year's World Championships from Europe won't be there. SK obviously already can't make it either way. EG all down to this decider game. Alternate 1 step away from knocking them into that relegation, but they have to be careful of that threat themselves. And right now, playing fairly aggressive with a pink ward here to make sure they've not been seen.
Yeah, and because Alternate killed the ward as it was placed, EG didn't get another one down, so they're not actually sure if Alternate continued the run through or not. This actually puts a lot of mystery into Alternate's early game if you're looking at it from EG's perspective.
Well, let's see what EG go for. Of course, knowing that pink ward's in there, are they just going to go with a flag? That would be the most sensible option. They're not going to lose out from that one, but it actually seems like they're going to back away completely from this one and go for something else, which looks like it will be this EG move that they've started to do a lot more, which is go around the entire side, completely avoid that tri-bush, and go late into the blue.
They are calling an audible here, and this is a very strange thing for EG, and as you predicted, they're doing that late invade into a blue. And I think this is going to be just what the doctor ordered for them, because while it's a late invade into the blue, they're going to find to take it, because there's no way that Alternate can realistically defend that buff.
Oh, and it's strange as well, because Alternate know that they've planted that seed of doubt in EG's mind that they're red. And naturally, now we see EG coming straight across the map. They're going to be taking this blue away. Snoopy not going to be hindered with that one. Jerry did start to come across there, but he's only going to be there in time to actually see that that blue buff has gone down. Snoopy just returns back off to his red.
Good play there by EG. Just adapting to what effectively was a smart, good play by Alternate early on, and not losing anything for it. They lost the ward control, but they don't overall lose any buff control.
So we do see that actually RNA are going over to the blue buff as well. So funnily enough, after what was a massive tactical play at level 1, is going to leave them even at the end of it.
Yeah, the massive tactical play basically just allows them to trade the buffs. And actually, Snoopy had some experience leached from a friend when he was doing the blue buff, and he didn't hit level 3 when he did that red buff, which means his gank has to be slightly delayed if he was planning on it.
So let's talk a little bit about the lane, specifically this top one, Kennen versus Karma. We know that Karma in these early stages of combos that she can throw out there can be very, very dangerous, can catch you a little bit off guard, but how is that going to develop into the later game? That's something that the Alternate struggled with constantly with that pick.
Yeah, and I just have to note, it was actually, Snoopy didn't hit level 3 because they left up a camp. So did RNA in that other side. But to get back to your question in the top lane between Wicked and Kerp, Kerp should be mostly dominating this lane early on. Karma is an amazing laner, probably even stronger than Kennen. But if he's going to keep throwing those Qs to try to harass Wicked, he is going to naturally shove the lane. And being in a long lane like that against Jarvan is inherently dangerous.
So mid lane here, RNA was actually stood on top of a ward that he won't be aware of, and Froggen is not going to step into the danger zone of, well, anywhere near that wall basically, because the Aatrox can jump straight at you. Snoopy in fact did start to come around from this one. Funnily enough, that camp on the blue buff for Alternate is actually still up there, and that's going to give RNA the timing control that he's going to be wanting on that one, as we are going to see Snoopy coming around. There's a flash away from Pharrell Lord. Aranea jumped in on top of that one to try and help out, but no sign of flashy bad news.
Yeah, that was a definitely strong gank from EG. It even delayed RNA's jungle a bit because he came out of race before finishing them. Flash burn and jungle delay.
So Snoopy's going to find out that his blue buff camp wasn't finished off either, and RNA will be resetting his in just a little while as well. So both junglers now got no timing on the blue that they actually took at level 1, but got the control back on their own.
Yeah, so at least they'll be able to hand off the blue buff and start the next round of invades. Or actually, they wouldn't be able to start the round of invades because they don't know when they were cleared, which will maybe create more of a farming pattern in the mid lane between Froggen and Pharrell.
So top lane, Karma. A bit of pressure maybe in the near future as Snoopy's going to play things patiently. That wave actually going to be pushing up towards Karma's turret from this one.
Mantra's gone right now.
Yeah, Mantra's gone, and that could be dangerous. Snoopy is waiting. They know that Karma's in that top rush now. It's a question of whether they go for it, and here we go. We are going to see them coming out. Speed boost that Karma gets, going to get her back towards the safety knockup. Not quite coming in because it was flashed away from by Kurt.
2 flashes now burned by Snoopy, but only 9 minion kills in the jungle. He needs to get a return on those ganks, otherwise he will fall behind. So he's gotten the flashes, just has to go back. Otherwise, that 9 farm, really gonna cost him.
Setting him back as J-Reed, looking for those pulls. And basically you get zoned out by that. You can't rely on being able to dodge them because it's pretty impossible. Get that out of there, and that means that 45 to 35 CS in favor of Creaton. They've held that lane up, they've used the threat of that fist dragging them in there to actually pick up a lot more CS, and there's one thrown out towards Yellow Pete, so he's at least safe for a little bit now. That grab got obviously quite a decent cooldown to it.
Yeah, but even so, as you said, the Blitzcrank is just pressuring that lane again and again, and it's Alternate who, I'm just realizing a little bit more going back in some of the stats. The Varus was the second most played by Creaton, but he was 2-4 on it with 6 games. So Alternate's falling back on a lot of comfortable champions that they actually haven't had success with yet this split. So it'll be very interesting to see how that costs them.
Well, certainly another slower start to this one, similar to what we saw in game number 1. Obviously game 2 was pretty explosive pretty quickly overall. And you can see those CS leads for what they're lacking in between the two AD carriers currently is made up for by Froggen in 10 CS up in the mid lane. Wicked also got an advantage on towards Curbs Karma, who has gone for that triple Doran's Ring start.
Once again, he loves the triple Doran's Ring. I wonder if Froggen's going to go triple blasting one then to answer, just like Alex Each did in that game. Probably not in a game of this magnitude. I think mainly that triple Doran's, though, for him, is just for his optimal spam throughout the lane, because he is able to clear it out, and it just means he's not going to run into any mana problems, as well as accentuating his early game punch that Karma generally does, because once it gets to 30-40 minutes, he's mainly a utility bot with slight kiting nukes.
So, after that, Aranea up at top. Wicked was pretty much playing underneath his turret, no chance for him to come in. Snoopy right now has actually gone over the backside of the dragon here. He's just waiting to see, can I actually go down to this bottom lane? Is there any vision there that's going to stop me doing that? And he is actually forcing himself through, but he's going to go, is he going to go Tribush side? Actually, no, he's going to, wow. He's actually going to come over the top of the wall here, and he's been completely undetected.
Yeah, but the creeps are not coordinating with this gank. He's thinking about the recall. They're sending 4 people down now. Alternate must suspect something's up, because Pharrell Mode would have called missing in action from Froggen going in mid lane. And Alternate just has to keep playing that one safe, because they can, thanks to the creep wave.
Not pushing up quick enough, and now Snoop is like, okay then, let's try it differently. Let's go for Pharrell Mode. But after burning that flash out earlier, now Snoopy going back towards that mid lane, that flash is going to be coming on. It's now up this instant, so that threat is instantly gone again.
Yeah, I don't feel like Snoopy managed his early ganks well throughout the next portion of the game, because he's essentially cycled all the lanes, getting small wins, but no actual win. He had to go back while one of those flashes was on cooldown in order to actually take advantage of his early ganks.
And right now, Aranea on the other side, double Doran's Blade, got the boots in there, got that Hunter's Machete as well. Only a Spirit Stone right now for Snoopy. He's finally going to go back off towards his red buff. We just saw Wicked as well clearing out under his turret. He's still ahead in that top lane. He's holding on to that lead Finally, EG's bottom lane were thinking about going home again, but with the next wave of minions coming down, they might stick around a little bit longer.
Yeah, I really actually like the way RNA has been playing this jungle Aatrox. Farm heavy and not trying to overcommit because it seems like he would have a really good gank with that Q. But that Aatrox Q is actually very hard to land without any form of assistance. And since they have an Orianna and a Karma lane, the most they can do is slow someone down a little bit. So what RNA is best served doing is actually just farming for the later game initiations.
Getting himself that power later on. Finally, the ball lanes are going to go back, by the way. We saw the Cutlass being picked up by Varus, Berserker Greaves as well, so pretty standard stuff for him, heading up towards that Blade of the Ruin King, and Yellow Pete again picks up that BF Sword as first item.
I wonder if it's going to work for him this time. Still going to be going for that Bloodthirster Last Whisper build on Caitlyn, and the lanes are just continuing to be farm one after the other, gold pretty much even. This is very similar to the first game between these teams, which alternate won. Surprisingly, the fast-paced, crazy game with a bunch of kills was the one that EG won, and here we are in game 2.
And this one is definitely more reminiscent of game number 1, there's no doubt about that one. Blue Buff's going to be given over here onto those mid laners. Obviously, Blue's coming up a lot later in the game this time around because of those invades and the non-resets on the camps.
So let's think about who's going to be actually winning these team fights later in the game. Because Kerp's Karma hasn't really beaten Wicked. He's kept him shoved up to the back. But Wicked's been farming tremendously under his turret, and Kerp has yet to make any type of transition. Whereas also, J-Ree's on Blitzcrank, which while sure Blitzcrank can transition if he gets the right hook, if he's not landing those things, he's a almost net negative during team fights. He's not able to make much of a contribution. So much of this is going to depend on how quickly Kerp transitions down and how effective J-Ree is at landing Blitzcrank.
Well, up until now, we've only seen, I think, 1 or maybe even 2 on our screens, both of them flashing by and not actually picking up kills. One thing that is working in their favor with that Blitzcrank is there's the fact that it's allowed Creatum to get 20 CS in the lead right now over Yellow Pete's Caitlyn. Mary's Kerp underneath the turret and allowed to put some damage down, but Wicked is really not bothered with this one. He knows, he probably can't remember the amount of games where he's been camped in this top lane, so being pushed onto his turret is just another day at the office for him.
Yeah, and Wicked knows how to play this matchup, it seems like. One thing that people get surprised on by a Karma matchup is just like how low she gets people. But Karma doesn't have surprise potential, since she can't just throw her ultimate at you necessarily. You always know how much damage is coming down, and since her ult essentially just augments her Q, once you see that coming out, you know what one exactly is going to kill you, and you're able to avoid it if Karma's about to burst you out. That doesn't happen against Karma.
Well, one thing that may work in EG's favor here is that Snoopy up in that top tri-bush, I don't believe went over a ward. The pink ward there in middle may have actually spotted him, but I'm not sure about that one. Karma did move back a little bit in that lane, move to the top side of things, so it seems like Snoopy's actually just going to recall himself, decides against everything going on there.
Yeah, and this is actually a very dangerous part in the game for Snoopy, because last game worked with him as the only melee in the team because he got so farmed and had so much gold. But if he is sitting at 33 minion kills, no assists, and RNA is nearly doubling his farm, as soon as these team fights break around, he is not going to have a presence when he tries to dive in and create.
Seen also the Chalice finished off here for Pharrell, added into his double Doran's rings from earlier. Snoopy going straight up towards that needlessly large rod. Think back to game number 1, he went that more assassination type build with that DFG as his first choice.
And I'd expect him to do it again. He wants to be able to just burst out the numerous amount of squishy targets that are on alternate, and the DFG is his best path to that on hard.
Abyssal Scepter already in there as well for Ken. Obviously, Karma with that triple Doran's ring is going to be a little bit further behind when it comes to those bigger items later on because of what's been invested into that one. You have to wonder if it's really been effective for her, because not ahead in CS, not being able to pick up any kills, not being able to contribute anything to this right now means that maybe would have been better to go the path which would see her get somewhere else faster.
That's the way it would seem right now, but you could very clearly say he's kind of hit a point now where he's ready to turn aggressive, and he still has the item slot efficiency from the Doran's rings. That's why he built home guard boots and rushed towards the dragon, because fighting now with that type of item build would be hugely beneficial.
Well, they are going to be starting off this Dragon, and EG, honestly, nowhere near this one. They've absolutely left that one completely open, and the counter for them on this side of things is going to be EG Wicked pushing this top lane. We're actually going to see Froggen coming up towards the top side as well by the looks of it. There's going to be the red buff coming up. Not sure if he's going to be able to take that away before the rest of the team come in, but Wicked will be able to take away that turret in the top lane. And look at that, Aranea, they saw that the red buff's gone, but he's not actually checked around the corner to see Froggen was still there, and Froggen will steal that away from him. Great move.
It was a very good ward by Froggen around the red buff so that he would know which way they were approaching so he could still get the steal. And that was maybe something that would turn the Dragon for turret trade slightly in the favor of EG, is that they got a red buff out of it as well.
Oh, Flash Crescendo coming in. Snoopy's going to drop down to the bottom. There is the Cataclysm as well, and Snoopy will pick up first blood. Chain of Corruption has just spread amongst them, which will stop them chasing onto J-Ree, but he can't do anything about stopping this turret going down, especially not now with the ace in the hole coming forward. And that's the moment that they've been waiting for. And again, similar to game 2, Flash Crescendo from Crepo.
Yeah. 15 minutes in as well is how long it took for first blood, and they recognized that Creatron had no flash, so as soon as Snoopy's next gank comes down, he can actually go and punish, which is what he did not do in the solo lanes when flashes were down. Turns this one in for a 15-minute late first blood.
Very late first blood. Now Wicked feeling confident as well, going to go in on towards Kurt. There's the ulti pop, but a flash used by Kurt, which again, no turret behind him here. That's another opportunity for Snoopy to maybe get involved.
As soon as that Cataclysm comes up one more time, he may as well be able to go up top and catch Curb, although Karma's really fast.
Yeah.
That shield speeds her up incredibly speedy like, and they might not even need to wait for Snoopy though, because Froggen has been trying multiple times here to roam.
They've got no vision. Actually, he's used the first charge of his ultimate here to get through. He's going to spot him going through into the bush. Curb actually doing well to dodge the charm, but Wicked coming in from the backside. The orb will finish off by Froggen. And these are those kind of games that we wait 15 minutes for the first blood to come in, but then they tend to just explode with action.
And that's when EG's trying to turn it on right now, but we'll alternate answer, because in game 1, EG actually got the first jump on them, but then alternate came right back, and since there was a roam up top and Snoopy is covering mid, they know that there is no possible help for Yellow Pete and Crepo at this turret.
Well, they've managed to hold 3 of them off for now, at least in this bottom lane. For Elnlord, pressuring that middle turret, and only Snoopy there to cover that one. Let's see how this works out. They could end up taking 2 turrets at this rate. Froggen now coming into the mid lane, we'll probably see Elnlord back away from that one, but this bottom turret with a 3 versus 2 scenario, they force them away for now. Can they finish off the turret before Wicked gets involved? The turret actually surviving there, just about. EG rescuing that one, but they can't chase in here. Surely they can't chase in for this one. Wicked does have a flash available, but he used his ultimate earlier on. There is a flash as well in mid lane from Elnlord. He threw everything at Froggen trying to get the kill. Wasn't able to finish that one off. Froggen just backing out of range. He didn't use his flash there, so that's available for Froggen next time around.
Yeah, especially because his ultimate was down as well, but these turrets are not long for this world. They're going right back. Ultimate's up on Froggen now.
Going straight in for that one, and it will be Froggen that gets the kill. The communication for that to come in there, I mean,
seconds.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. Froggen still, by the way, didn't use his flash in that one, didn't need to in the end.
Nah, 2-0 right now on Ari. In that matchup with Elnlord, it swings so many of these matchups between EG and Alternate. Froggen is winning this one with the successful roam and then the great communication. Alternate is desperately trying to fight back though, very slowly pushing these 3 turrets. They haven't broken them yet, but if they could break that line all at once, it would be a huge spike of gold for Alternate. It would actually give them the lead in this game.
EG are looking for turret number 2 of this game now, and that bottom one. Still Varus and Blitzcrank wait around though. They want to try and stop that one from actually being taken away. And Kerp is also trying to do the same here at the top. So bottom lane will collapse, but the top lane going to do exactly the same. And that will bring us back to 2-1. And with how low the bottom lane is, you can see that Aranea actually coming around. Could probably just go under the turret once you realize the bottom lane's gone and just knock that away for that boost of gold.
And this game is about to get substantially more open field Yellow Pete and Crepo could not be playing like they have a turret that's alive right now. This dive could just happen right now.
Well, they are going to jump in on towards Crepo. They've actually left the turret up here, and that's going to mean that Aranea gets his blood well pop. They finally finished off Crepo there, but Yellow Pete does manage to walk away from it, and I have to wonder why he didn't give that one auto attack to the turret to stop any danger of that.
He got distracted by the trap, I feel like. He thought the turret was almost dead before it happened. Even so, it still only cost him that passive, and they did get the kill onto Crepo. Plus, take a look. That gold is completely even again.
And one thing that I've noticed change as well, we talked about how Snoopy spent a lot of time trying to get involved in these lanes early on, being very patient, specifically up at the top, and fell massively behind, almost double the CS behind of his opponent. And he's caught that up to just 9 CS difference now, so all of that advantage that Aranea had on that front for when it comes around to team fights is gone.
Yeah, two things happened. Aranea slowed down in farming, and Snoopy actually sped up a little bit. His ganks decreased in frequency, but increased in efficiency, and it's been a nice adjustment by him so far. Again, just going for that incredibly selfish tank build in a sense, where he's not building any of the Aegis or Lock into the Iron Solari items despite going double ability power. It's the way EG's chosen to do so in this composition specifically. I like it.
Bit of a group up around middle now. Dragon has just spawned in as well, and this will surely be the next big fight of this game. See a few wards put down and try. I say a few, there's at least 3 pink wards there around that middle lane for Evil Geniuses. Are they going to get the positioning here on alternate though when it comes to that Dragon? And I've got a feeling the EG, they wouldn't mind giving up a Dragon here if they could push then and have that middle turret to take that entire line out.
Yeah, J-Ree is also going to be trying to get a hook amongst all this because so much is swinging on this next fight. EG's been the ones to go previously. They get a hook, it's on a tank, and they turn around!
It's onto Snoopy and J-Ree going to get destroyed. What a shockwave coming out for Earnlord though. Aranea diving in the front, but Wicked's in there as well. Crepo actually picks up the kill. Wicked will pay his life as the ace in the hole blocked by Curve, and that leaves 3 of them on round about half HP. Yellow Pete has got full health. Crepo has that crescendo coming up here in just a second, and Creatine actually taking a lot from that turret there, and Yellow Pete is able to finish him off. Brilliantly done. They escaped that one, but they've lost the turret. No Dragon fight for now though.
And Joe, these fights are so close, even though that was a 3-for-1. Snoopy and Froggen got away with slivers, and then Yellow Pete barely sniped Kriya-chan at the very end. Let's take a look at how this happened one more time. Hooking in started the fight from Snoopy. You can tell both teams were ready to fight, and both teams actually landed some really clutch abilities. That shockwave was onto a Mandarin Karma Q, and Wicked didn't actually get off much of an ultimate damage-wise, but he did zoning-wise because he's what delayed ultimate for later in that fight.
Well, we've just seen that Dragon has been picked up by Evil Geniuses. Let me try that one again. Alternate, a little bit slower to come out of their base there and try and challenge for that one, but not quite able to do it. But because of those low turrets that they had earlier on, they've now been able to finish off all 3 of the outers, and that gives them the lead on that front. And it's only a 1,500 gold overall between the 2 teams.
And that was the goal that Alternate was really relying on. Unfortunately, with the lost fight and the lost Dragon, it's actually not enough to put them ahead in the game yet. They need to find new ways to kind of create gold at this point. And honestly, Kerp needs to find a way to almost start fights sooner rather than later, even though the fights seem close right now.
Yeah, we saw, as you mentioned during the replay, the shockwave pulling him onto that Manfred Q coming out onto the Flame. That's all well and good, but how often can you get it that perfect that it's going to get the double burst of damage? Yeah,
it didn't even win the fight after that. And that's not a combo you get off frequently whatsoever.
One thing though that they could probably rely on is J-Ree to be hooking people, but again, it's got to be the right target. We saw last time around that they pulled Snoopy into the middle of them. Didn't really want to get involved with that one. The same can even go for Kennen now. He's got his Zhonya's Hourglass. You pull that Kennen in there, he will pop his ulti and Zhonya's on you.
EG's building a lot of traps for J-Ree to pull into the team. That's also why Froggen, even though Froggen normally would go Deathfire Grasp almost straight into a Rabadon's Death Cap, he's actually building his Zhonya's this time. So unless it's Yellow Pete or Crepo that get pulled in, Crepo could even get an ultimate off. J-Ree has to be so incredibly careful how he starts fights off the screen. They're trying to remove him as a champion.
Trying to get in there, slow everyone down, do that burst as the piercing arrow comes through as well. Not really got that much damage at this stage because of the way that Creation's built and the items that he's got in with him at this point. Well, you see both teams 5 versus 5 in this middle lane, vying for a little bit of power. EG wants to level up the turrets.
And since they're down in turrets, I'm still thinking back to the first game. EG was very good at outmaneuvering alternate, but there's not much maneuvering going on in this game. For the first time in all these games, there's not a very strong split push on any of these teams, and EG doesn't get the crescendo off, but they get hooked in!
Yeah, they go. Hook coming in on towards Crepo, but they're going to go for this one. Aranea dives in there. Snoopy actually coming back onto him. Creaton going very low. He's going to be finished off by that, but it's just a one single kill. And alternate aren't done. They're going to keep chasing on through from this. Can Jerry actually get over? There's the jump in. Yellow Pete still on full HP there. And, well, Crepo, flash crescendo, no, and then he gets hooked in as well. That is not what EG need in these fights. They're not going to win the game like that.
Yeah, that hook kind of had an insult to injury for Crepo.
Yeah.
But at the end, they traded 1 for 1, killed an AD carry, lost to support. There's a 3-0 Yellow Pete. Crepo feels okay about that one. Really, if we think about how it happens. The fight was so one-sided in the way it seemed to start, yet EG still got off really good combos after the fact. We'll have to give them huge amounts of confidence coming into subsequent team fights.
So very, very close and so tense, and we can see that it's almost as if, okay, we want to fight, we think we can fight right now, but we're also very, very cautious about doing so. And to pull up a flash crescendo like that, you've got to be 100% confident in your ability not only to land that, but for your team to be backing you up and winning the fights there. And any kind of doubt in your mind could lead to you missing that combo, as we've just seen there. Well, it got worse for Crepo after that, after he was hooked in as well on top of it. So we'll see how it develops here. And again, we see champions moving off more into these lanes and we reset again.
Yeah, and in Crepo's defense, he would have caught Freljord, but Freljord flashed it back right at the start. And then it didn't look good for him. And this is still just EG getting a little bit of control in this game. We've talked about how much is actually on the line for these guys, because the winner has a very good chance of going to Worlds, whereas the loser is at substantial risk of falling into the promotion tournament.
And if you've seen any of those challenger teams over the course of this weekend and the other tournaments, you'll know that they're not to be taken lightly here. So dangerous times for both teams. And again, we move into a more passive phase of things. So that gives us time then to have another quick look down items. The second Zhonya's Hourglass now finished over for Evil Genius, of course, going in on towards Froggen to add into the one that Wicked already had earlier on. Bloodthirst, the last Whisper combo that Yellow Pete has been going for, is also finished with a second BF sword added into that one. Critten's not really had much recently picked up. I'm forgetting that he's actually sat on a decent amount of gold for the next time he goes back. Yeah, 1,200 gold for him to spend.
So Creaton really wants to get that Infinity Edge so he can start really punishing Snoopy when he dives into team fights, and Snoopy hasn't built armor yet. The big thing that EG has to be worried about in the next fight is the fact that Freljord has completed that Rabadon's death cap, which will be a huge boon to them if he catches a good one, since EG seems to be the one really going for this turret, and the wave clear, by the way, from Alton is substantial.
Yeah, pretty amazing at this stage. And Alton actually speeding out here again. Jerry looking for a hook to get things started. And Kennen or Ari, not the targets that they'd really want at this stage, but if they pull him in, wait for the Zhonyas and then go, still a possibility.
Yeah, and what a crazy game this is. There's no one deciding to split push. It's so unlike most games you've seen. It's all hinging on hooks or flash crescendos. If both teams are just going to ignore the side lanes and let all of those minions go to waste, they're wanting something else to happen. Both of these teams do want to fight, just not with a poor initiation.
This could be the catalyst though. The dragon coming up could start off the fight as Wicked takes a big hit there. Are we going to see EG back away? We've got Snoopy up to the side, he's going to dive into them, they're going to go for this one. Crescendo will come across again. Froggen takes a big blast and Snoopy is nuked down. Wicked's in the middle of them. He's going to use his Zhonya's, but he's dead as soon as he comes out of it. He was actually hooked in there by J-Ree. And now Crepo, is he going to be able to escape? Froggen puts a full burst onto Freljord. Crepo's gone down. Yellow Pete is going to be chased by 4 people, including all that CC to come out of J-Ree and Curve. They've got enough damage to finish this one off. and that will be a 4 for 2 coming out for Alternate, plus a Dragon now as well.
And we said before, these fights are so close, Joe. This one went in the favor of Alternate, and they get the Dragon afterwards. The reason they seem to win this one here, watch Snoopy, all the initiation went on a couple people that weren't the main threats here. Creaton landed an amazing Mars ultimate, which delayed the initiation of the rest of EG. Obviously, they then waited on the Zhonya's from Wicked, and even though Shockwave just hit the support, Ultimate still got a 4 for 2. That's how close these team fights can be.
And no real chance for Yellow P to get out there at the end either. The Crescendo, like you said, only really hit the back end of Aatrox from that one, not the real targets that they do want to stun up and burst down quickly. We saw there, Snoopy, we talked about this whole selfish, tanky build that he's going for, but he got absolutely destroyed when he jumped in there, and if he's the tanky man of the team that has to jump in there because that's how you get things started. Jerry actually getting caught out here, he's going to go down to Froggen. Just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But if that happens in the fights again, then Snoopy gets popped so quickly. That's really bad news for EG as well.
It is, and this game is going to be getting so interesting because it's a 5-1 Karma. And I was questioning the way Kerber's going to transition in the late game with this, but since he's getting so many kills, will that excess utility, increased shield size, ability to poke, end up actually being a huge benefit if, I mean, think of the shields that Alternate can throw out with an Orianna and a Karma. If Creaton wasn't 1-4, he would just take over this game right now because he would be an essentially unkillable AD carry.
And that's before he gets any Guardian Angel or the likes in there on top of that as well. So EG, this turret again, it's been a big focus of them over the last, what seems like 10 minutes, and I don't think we're far off that point either. They've still not managed to take it down here. And for me, they look a little bit lost in terms of, okay, what are we doing here? What's the plan? They've stacked up in the middle. Yes, when Dragon's there, obviously they're going to go down for Dragon, but you see again, they finally decide to back away. They're going to do a bit of farming in the jungle. Wicked's going to go down and push this bottom wave back out, but there seems to be a clear focused plan at this stage for EG.
Yeah, well, it's so strange, Joe, because I can't remember the last game I've watched where there hasn't been a split push threat forcing action and engagements. Neither of these teams are deciding to do that, so the teams are just congregating in middle again and again and kind of saying, I guess this is how we're going to play, and they're trading fights, which is honestly a very exciting thing to do, but it means the game is very close and potentially sweet.
So EG again, group up middle, and Karma's actually left now, so that'll be a 5 versus 4 and a real chance for EG to actually take this turret that they've obviously been lusting after for quite a while. Yeah, or not, they could go down to bottom. This is something that has worked out really nice for them in the end. The fact that Wicked did push that lane out completely. Alternate going to try and react to this one as fast as they possibly can, which they can do with that Karma in there, with that Blitzcrank being able to speed around as well. But it will be 5 versus 5 this time in mid.
And look at the way EG has actually pulled through the jungle. It means if they cut back to mid lane, they'd actually get it. All they have to do is wait for the turrets to come, the minions to come to the turret. Since Alternate doesn't feel safe running through their own blue jungle right now.
Oh, the fight starts here! Aranea blown up from that one. He does have the Blood Wellers. The Crescendo not really hitting where they wanted. Wicked forced to use his Zhonya's. Well, there's a 3-man Shockwave. Gets the 2 of them down, and they're going to be able to chase from this one. Snipe over towards Froggen. Blitzcrank powering on forward. Gets the speed boost there from Orianna, and he's going to knock Crepo in the air. Crepo won't survive this one. He'll finish him off, and now they're chasing in towards Snoopy. Jerry's got full vision of him. He's going to get knocked up, but will Snoopy be able to kill him? He will now with that Cataclysm. He will walk away. Creates a curve. And Brownlow coming around the side, and there's the speed boost, there's the slow. Snoopy slides away just about. The snipe not enough to actually get in there. Kirk does have a flash available. He's going to flash in, picks him up. Kirk is now godlike. EG managed to get a turret in the middle as well.
The speed of Alternate is undeniable right now. Karma plus Orianna, plus even Jay Reed, who gets himself in trouble with his overdrive occasionally, is allowing them to chase through in these fights. And they're still just trading back and forth. This last fight, really just watching how Aranea, with his Bloodwell, actually held EG back so far. And then since Wicked didn't hit anyone, as soon as EG went up to support him, Lord was waiting with a Shockwave, and once EG looked to retreat, they couldn't actually get all the way away. Froggen broke off to one side, but the rest of them got chased down.
Froggen able to survive. They finally got that turret as well at the outer, which is something that has obviously meant a lot to them because they spent so much effort on actually getting that one down, but losing a big team fight because of that. And Alternate now taking the lead in gold. It's still not a big lead by any stretch of the imagination, but they got the lead nonetheless. And now with the end of that last fight, a lot of new items coming out, including that death cap now for Curb as well, as a void staff for Eleanor.
Yeah, and 508 ability power on Curb. This is going to be his, he had the confidence to pick it. It did not work in their game against Gambit, but it's working amazingly here despite the laning phase. He was able to go down and then transition his team fight utility very strongly, and now is going to just be the big question. His shield right now is actually 500 damage on a 6.7 second cooldown. Lord's shield, who also has 400 ability power, is potentially 400 as well. So that's like a 900 damage, low cooldown shield. They can put on whoever they want. So unless EG fights very smartly, it's almost too much to handle.
Oh, Snoopy getting knocked in there. Jerry actually ulted before knocking him up. There's a shockwave that won't hit anyone. Will EG try and turn around to have a fight with him because of that? Curb actually blocking. That ace in the hole. I don't think he quite realized that it was going to take half of his health away as he did it. And Wicked here trying to push out that top inner turret as well, which would swing gold back around into the favor of Evil Geniuses, but Snoopy was a little bit lucky there. He actually, Jerry ulted rather than knock him up, which that extra bit of CC might have been enough to get the kill onto him.
It very well could have been, but at the same time, this game just continues to be a chase around. I don't think EG can actually chase down Alternate in the open field unless Alternate gets some.
That was harder to miss than actually hit there. Yeah. They were all bunched up for that one, fires it off towards the side. Lucky for EG, not taking, no one grabbed by that one. Wicked is still pushing. Finally we see something a little bit normal in this game with a split push coming into play. Wicked going to get up there, and Curb is probably feeling very, very comfortable right now to go in for this one. Actually, the ulti going to get run here by Wicked, but he gets knocked up. Curb is going low. Zonya's going to be used by Wicked, but Aranea waiting right on top of him. Actual flash away from Wicked, and he survives it.
A nice escape, considering he's an 0-3 Kennen against a 7-1 Karma with backup. Trading ultimates and then getting away is well worth it, considering he got the turret in the process.
What are Ultimate going to do now? The goal is literally like not even 150 now. It's literally just ticked over. Yeah, it's like a ward probably, a difference between them here. And that after 36 minutes here in game number 3. Such an important match to decide whether you still have a hope of going in towards the Worlds, or whether you're going to be fighting for your career and your livelihood come that promotion tournament.
And it really just shows how evenly matched these teams are as well, that it's this close in the game 3. They've been battling each other throughout. I mean, it's such a great matchup, just the Froggen versus Relord, who are really dueling closer than any game they have previously at this point. And to get back to the items a little bit as well, Yellow Pete has a huge amount of attack damage. That's the reason his ultimate's hitting so hard, but his actual standstill fighting isn't there yet. He needs the zeal or the panic dancer to really make that happen. These fights are still incredibly close as Curb tries to transition this incredibly fed Karma into a later game.
7-1-2, and that's the point, that's the thing that he struggled with before. He's getting in towards that late game. Jerry goes for the hook, doesn't quite land, an Alternate back away completely again as Froggen coming in from the side. There's a shockwave though, gonna catch 2 of them. Wicked gonna have to use his Zonyas. Will he be able to escape? Flash crescendo comes out for Crepo, and Snoopy dives right in the middle. But what have they got to follow it up with now? This could be dangerous for Evil Geniuses. They've already lost one. Yellow Pete trying to force them away there with that damage as the ace in the hole comes flying through. That will end in a 2-for-0 for Alternate. Should be enough to get the turret.
And there's so many things that EG has to keep track of when they're in these extended sieges. The speed with which J-Re finds angles for hooks is incredible thanks to the Karma. And they just forgot about the Orianna. Lord landed it perfectly on 2, and then EG tried a miracle fight to come back, but just didn't have enough.
There's 30 seconds here until Froggen can actually get up. 30 seconds is enough to turn them towards that Baron, considering how fast they can move as well.
Yeah, and they're still relatively healthy, but that doesn't seem like a risk that Alternate is willing to take right now, knowing Snoopy's still on the board, knowing that they just took a big advantage, and it's been a game of sieges, so they're not about to make a super rash decision and just rush things, so it seems.
So a couple more items coming in, namely the Guardian Angel for Lord, who has not missed many shockwaves today, have he? And we saw it was really the shockwave that actually got them into the LCS right at the start of this season as well, and quite funny if it was one that actually kept them safe if they were able to win this game here against Evil Geniuses. Also saw Zeal picked up by Creatine. RNA jumps off towards Krep, who has had a bit of a torrid time of things in this last game. And we saw that Snoopy goes in there, they threw the crescendo, but there was literally nothing else to throw in there because of where they were, the position, and the fact that Wicked and Zonya's and then was finished off straight away afterwards. That's a big chunk of damage got.
They need Wicked to go in with the rest of the team to make these things work, and the fights are becoming more difficult. The revive pass on RNA, which is not up right now, and the Guardian Angel are a bit much to handle, but EG, no hesitation!
This time they do manage to land them both in together. The shockwave will come down. Wicked actually dodging it as Creatine. He's come to the front. There is the crescendo coming across, but where's the backup onto it? Finally they manage to take down Creatine. Guardian Angel of Lord is going to be...
He's going to clean up!
The only one man left. Kirk going to be chased down. He's going to get the slow. Triple kill comes down for LOP. He's a 5 for 2, an ace, and it's going to be a Baron here as well for Evil Geniuses.
What a transition in that fight for them, knowing that there was only the one revive out. They also burned the Guardian Angel of Lord, which is so impactful, and they went before Yellow Pete was even ready because they saw the opportunity. But that's the combo we talked about there, the Jarvan cage with Wicked, and then Froggen came in right at the end time, the Crepo crescendo as he dodges the hook, and then Pete, since he came in late and was untouched, was just able to clean up the rest of them.
Amazing turnaround there, and we saw, and I was just talking about the shockwave. Snoopy had already died, and Wicked actually Zonya's it as soon as he saw that circle appear, the imminent, pulling and damage from that shockwave. So well done here by EG, and that swings it back around again. EG now got the gold lead, albeit by just a little bit, and the kill lead as well. They do have those super minions, of course, pushed into their base right now, which means that they're still going to have to play a little bit more defensive with that, or at least keep that middle lane push right out.
This is such a great game right now. Just with the amount of fights we've been able to see, how close they have all been, and then now a swing in momentum for sure, because it had all been going Alternate's way thanks to, honestly, Kerp's karma being able to just support and withstand these team fights, plus just chase once they had the edge. But we might be at that point in the game now where he starts to have some ineffectiveness. Even the 0 and 5 now, Wicked, had a huge presence in that team fight, whereas Kerp, once he couldn't protect Lord or Creatine, didn't have enough left for the end of the fight. Now EG looks to push up really strongly with this Baron buff on 3 members.
Yeah, with that inhibitor down, super minions coming in, EG keeping it pushed right up, which means that Alternate not really getting any bonuses from having that inhibitor down at this stage of things. EG looking like they may try and get in on towards that turret. It's Wicked actually going to be pulled into that one, and well, he'll flash away, but that was really, really close.
Lord again trying to make the play with his Orianna, because so much of what Alternate always does relies on his ability. That's why when he misses, it just seems so devastating for Alternate. Wicked is going to heal up a little bit because Crepo's spamming on him, and they're going to look to go back in a bit more since they know Crescendo's down for a little while yet.
Almost approaching these 6 angles. Probably enough Yellow Pete going for a Banshee's Veil there. Wanted that protection before heading up to something that's going to give him more attack speed to allow that massive AD that he has to come out more frequently. But we saw in that last fight, he joined it very, very late, but still, I guess we could say at a crucial time, able to really finish things off. So the gold, just to put that into perspective, 200 gold is what separates them. Probably not even that at this point. And we're 42.5 minutes into the game. It's so ridiculous, this one.
Could not get any closer right now. And EG had to back away because of the minion waves and because that shockwave was just going to be right back. And because of how close the gold is, a dive just would not have been wise. Specifically knowing that there's 1,000 damage worth of shields that Kerp and Lord can put on any target at any time. It means EG really has to pick their fights well if they want to come back, and it might not even be during the duration of this Baron.
No, I don't think so either. I think that Baron, all well and good to take after picking up that last ace there, but it's probably not going to be the one that
it's
finishes
good
off
for the
the game.
comeback to get them back in the game and give them some time to farm up. Gives Yellow Pete time to get the Zeal. Obviously, a couple more big items were completed across the board. Wicked's got a huge amount of damage, and it stalls Alternate a little bit too, because Alternate's not going to go looking for any fights while the Baron buff is there.
So EG once again force out that middle lane. Bottom lane, that's still that inner turret, and they were actually working on that a little bit later on, of course, as they tried to get around before that they actually lost 4 men in that previous fight. Which seems like almost another game. It's been that long since that actually happened. And such a turn of events after that coming in as well. Here is a red buff for Yellow Pete, as you mentioned, finally starting to get that attack speed in there now after picking up that Zeal. And Creaton's going to go for a little bit of protection as well, and I think rightly so. We saw him in that fight that got a little bit too far forward in it because he wanted to get his ultimate off, and that actually cost him his life.
And also getting a bit of defensive itemization helps even more when you consider the shieldless that come onto him. Knowing that he now has 87 magic resistance thanks to the plus 45 from the Spectre's Cow, this means those shields are all the more effective in the team fights in this game that's honestly at a bit of a stall point. I feel like Alternate is a little gun shy after losing that 4 for 2. And they're almost at a point now where even though the Baron is off for EG, they're waiting for EG's next move so that they can counterplay it the same way that EG turned around Alternate.
I think it's anyone's guess at this stage as to what's actually going to happen. Are we going to see more Barons? When are the next fights coming in? Just something that we can't begin to predict because of the way that this match has actually ran along. We've got 3/4 of an hour on the clock. Everyone's starting to work up towards those 6-item builds, and I think the only thing that we can really guarantee is that when it does happen, a final fight, it's going to be absolutely crazy, and one team's going to say, okay, they've got a minute spawn time, we win right here.
And all of them, both of these teams can just fly into each other if they so choose. The speed that Pharrell and Nordic Curve add to their team with Orianna and Karma is immense. Plus all the dashes they have on EG. You also point out that Reverie that J. Reed has. It's a very fast team that's able to do pretty much whatever they want in these team fights. And this is the longest lull we've had in quite some time, and it's because so much hinges on this next fight.
Yellow Pete still holding that Banshee's Veil. I think RNA just trying to get that one out of the equation because obviously that stops a lot of things coming his way. You know, that can stop him from being grabbed in and losing their AD carry, which could stop them losing the game if that were to happen. Right now though, EG have gone down towards this bottom lane. Don't think that Alternate can actually reply to this turret here fast enough. It's going down incredibly quickly, and there will be turret number 5 for EG. There's the Banshee's Veil finally being popped. It was the smack coming out of the piercing arrow there from Creaton, but EG happy with what they've just had. Gonna back away, steal a blue buff for Frogger.
So that's another good move by EG, but I still feel like we should talk a bit about what's gonna happen in one of these team fights. The Revive passive is obviously back up for RNA. There's every summoner spell in the game alive right now, so anyone can dash around everywhere in those fights. I feel like having the 2 extra revives on Alternate will give them a little bit of extra confidence when combined with having the extra shields for the reviving members. Is going to make the fight very choosy for how EG goes in. I don't think it's going to be one of those clean, explode everyone in a fight. They're going to have to win a long one if it gets to that, just based on the state we are at in the game.
Look at this, masses of wards down in the Alternate
down pretty fast.
They started, they've got it down below half HP, only 4,000. Look at this, they're going to take it. EG go in there, do a bit of a ninja Baron, and saw Alternate dive over. Actually, Shirelia's pop, there is a shockwave coming out onto Wicked. It's used defensively, but paired in with Kurt there. A lot of damage coming down. We will see Aronair use his flash to get back onto the top side of the map. Frogger is going to dive in onto the charm lands. Aronair tries to jump away. He's going to have his passive pop up. He's going to be finished straight off. It's 5v4 and EG have Baron.
So Baron 5v4, and what is alternate down? They have no shockwave on Lord, which is crucial for them. There is no Ari ult on EG, but they might look to make their move here if they can get a good initiation.
If they can get underneath the tower, Jerry trying to throw out the pull. They're going to flash in. Charm missing onto Lord though. He's going to be able to bring back some damage. Kirk is poking in there, along with Creatine as well. There's actually missing in the end, but those Qs out of Karma are deceptively painful right now. When they hit you, they're going to hurt a lot. And EG aware of this one. One thing that's on their side is that constant regen and the heals coming out of Sona at this point.
In a couple seconds though, Lord Shockwave is back up. That charm that Frog had missed was a go or no-go for EG on that turret. They're getting so much damage down right now, and Alternate is giving it up.
They're going in towards Karma. He will flash away, but there is a Shockwave coming out the backside. Wicked Gun is on you up from that, but there are now 3 men dead. Aranea is going to come back up in 5 seconds to this one. What are EG going to go for? They're backing away.
That is such a huge win for them nonetheless. They just went for it on Kerp, and he could not defend the dive potential that just shredded them from EG there. That Baron buff call after an extended siege was brilliant, and now they're trying to take as much as they can with the rest of this Baron buff, but honestly, creeps to get, gold to spend, and confidence gained.
Crazy, crazy stuff. The game of the weekend so far, there's no real doubt about that one. And to have it happen in Game 3 as well, of this best of 3 with so much on the line, there is that turret finally for Evil Geniuses. And they've got now nothing outside of their base here, Alternate. This is dangerous. Look at EG, they're actually going straight in onto it. There's a flash for Shendo coming out from Grappo. They're focusing for Lord. His GA is now gone. He's got a trap on him. He's not going anywhere. Or is he still alive for a while there? Froggen was on his up as well. EG are going to go for this inhibitor. They could look to finish here.
And it's these 70-second death timers that are creating opportunity for EG. They killed Kerp and J-Ree so long ago that it kind of lulled us into a sense of calm when they could still go in 3v5, and they're going in again!
J-Ree missed the hook there, and Snoopy dives in, puts down the Cataclysm. There's 2 inside it. The snap from Yellow Pete will win them another kill. That's 3 men down, 45 seconds for Aranea and for Lord. EG still have 4 men here. They're not amazingly healthy, and Creatine is still full health and still has that Banshee's Veil. He's still got the opportunity to hold off.
But EG still has this Baron, which is giving them confidence. They get a Nexus turret and have now the freedom to go back. Look at the death timers though. They're dead forever it seems. 25 seconds still on RNA and for Lord. J-Ree isn't up yet, and EG is just sticking around.
Kerp has managed to regen. Yellow Pete is going to be live stealing back from the minions that come out at him, and they've already got the 1 Nexus turret down. EG are going to look to finish this game off right here, and the damage that's coming into those turrets is massive. Crits are going to throw things out. This is a lot of damage onto EG. Snoopy actually going to pick up the kill. Kerp dies in the end. There's the ace, and Evil Geniuses take down Alternate, secure their place in Season 4, and through to the semi-final.
Let's go, D3G. Yeah!
You can see the release in there as well. An absolutely incredible best of 3. Forget the rest of the best of 3. An absolutely incredible game of the best of 3. The best one we've seen here on stage all weekend. Crowd on their feet. You can see the disappointment for all of them. And rightly so, they spent 6 weeks at the top of the summer split here. They will drop down to those promotional games later on in the year, but it's all about EG right now.
Yeah, and I have chills going through me right now because of how epic that game was and how powerfully EG was able to finish it after such a standstill. Just going for it in front of this crowd, which, by the way, is a little heavy on EG fans. What a great game to start off these European playoffs.
Well, it's heavy on League of Legends fans, which is what makes me most happy. I've not quite seen a crowd like this, I don't think ever. So big thumbs up to you guys, keeping the atmosphere electric here in Hall 8 at Gamescom. And well, EG, they've done it. It took them a while, let's just say that. Especially that last game lasted 51 minutes. But it was like we said, once it finally happens, it's going to be over in a flash.
And it absolutely was. Just Pete ends up at 10-2. Froggen ends up winning the matchup at the end of the day against Pharrell and Lord. Shockwaves were not clutch enough, and his charms and dashes absolutely were on Ari by the end of it. Wicked pulls out 2 cannon games. This last one, more of a struggle, but still able to lock people down and blow them up in those late game team fights. So much performance from EG coming out. Would have been weird to not have EG at least in contention coming into World Playoffs, and they move on.
Well, they're going to be taking on Fnatic in the semi-final, which is another hard game for them, another one to prepare for. I'm sure they're off home straight away after this one to make sure that everything's ready for that game. Obviously, we have another quarterfinal coming your way a little bit later on today, but for now, we're going to head to the analyst desk where Kobe and Quickshot are going to break down that off-the-wall, insane Game 3.
Thank you very much, Joe, and what a way to finish the game. You know, the whole series was very good. Game 1 and Game 3, even back and forth the entire time. Game 2 was all about EG. Let's talk about the match, let's talk about the specifics, and let's go back to the compositions. EG stuck with what they know. Okay. Alternate tried something new, but kind of old.
So EG used 4 of the same picks in that game, and it was because they had won the previous game. So again, in the 3-game series, it's always on whoever loses to change it up. Alternate did just that. They went this shield comp with speed boosts everywhere, which relied a lot on speeding up the Blitzcrank to grab a high priority target, and then perfect timing to pull off a shockwave into a dark flight. They did that sometimes, but they also missed it sometimes. So this game was so back and forth all game long. There were a lot of flash crescendo hits, flash crescendo misses, shockwave hits, shockwave misses.
Yeah, there's something that this particular game had more than the other two is that, you know, I think at like 40 minutes in the game, there was 200 gold that separated them. But it all started very, very slowly. You could feel the tension, you could feel that neither team wanted to make mistakes. And it was just a matter of, like you said, the flash crescendo that would get you a kill, or the speed up hook that would get it. And whichever team managed to make these little skirmishes work, ended up getting the advantage and the objectives. I think actually the first replay that we've got is a highlight of one of these little skirmishes that ended up working more in favor of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this one. It's a fight in the mid lane, and really, it looks like Alternate get the combo that they want. They speed up the Blitzcrank, they get the pull, they get the crescendo, Dark Flight is coming, but EG get out of it. Let's watch this. Roll the clip here. Bam, they get the perfect pick, and they're gonna have a shockwave onto 2 priority targets here. Here comes the Dark Flight, but it just barely misses. They can't pause it here. So it just barely missed. They weren't able to finish off their 2 targets, both flashing away just in time to escape with their lives. And then Wicked comes in to run interference for them, sort of block so that they can get away, end up getting the kill onto RNA in that as well, but EG get more out of it. Let's roll the rest of the clip full speed here. And Karma's gonna come in. She finishes off Wicked there, but now it's Creaton actually getting a little antsy. He goes for this duel with Yellow Pete, even though Yellow Pete's full life here, and he takes 2 power shots, flashes into the Piltover Peacemaker. So EG even get 1 more kill out of that. They do lose the turret, but that was just an example of how close these skirmishes were. They were made up. The difference was made up by not even a second. It was split seconds, microseconds between the definition of an alternate win and an EG win.
Yeah, and like 10 minutes later, in that clip, there was about 2,500 gold that separated EG from alternate, but that was clawed back, it was closed up. 10 minutes later, you ended up having alternate winning one of those drawn-out, prolonged team fights in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of kills. They rolled around, picked up inhibitor, and it was back and forth the entire time.
So that one was an example of the shockwave hitting and them capitalizing on it, then turning it into an objective because it's the late game.
I think we do have to highlight one more replay, and one more of probably the biggest game-changing factor, and it was when Evil Geniuses secured the Baron. They were able to secure the Baron because of an engagement in that top lane. So let's pull the replay up on your screen. It is a little bit later after that previous little skirmish that we just showed. And, you know, it started off really well with Snoopy and Wicked going in.
So this one's going to be EG actually winning a team fight and then capitalizing with the objective after. Jat said they didn't wait for Yellow Pete right here because they could actually get their combo off of Wicked and Snoopy. And that's something that they had to do because of the one character they changed out this game from last game, which was Ari for Orianna. They don't have that shockwave combo to go in with Snoopy, so they have to have Wicked in great position. Let's roll this forward, and we'll see how they actually pull off the Maelstrom and the Cataclysm here. They get one flash out from Pharrell Lord, but RNA has to stay in there. And he takes so much damage that by the time Pete comes in here, after the crescendo onto Creatine to keep him in place, they don't have any more answers. Even though Pete nets away from the fight, he ends up walking back up for the rest of it to finish it off and has the flash to chase down Kurt. So that was really another example of how EG had to change their game because of having Ahri instead of Orianna. It was a re-engage after the initial engage from Wicked there. Ahri went back in to start it back up and land the charm onto Creatine so that they could get that combo.
Well, it does mean that Evil Genius has secured the series 2-1. They advance to the semifinals. They've guaranteed their spot in Season 4. And now they're playing for that spot at World Playoffs.
They seemed a little bit happy about that.
Just a little, just a little. I do think we have to mention how well Snoopy did play with his job and throughout that game. And, you know, consider 3 weeks ago, he benched himself.
Yeah.
And now he was landing all the knockups and cataclysms for everyone.
He was getting some inspiration for himself. You know, you got to light a fire under your own butt sometimes.
Yeah, it's the truth, it's the truth. So congratulations to EG.
We also have to say, he had some really good ganks this time. It was like last game, where he was constantly getting off ganks. It took him 15 minutes to actually get the first blood, though.
He kind of forgot to CS a little at the beginning of the game. We'll overlook that fact. We'll overlook it. Guys, we do have to take a very short break, but when we return, Sharks will be joined by Evil Genius's Crippo to talk about their exciting win. And then it is time for our second quarterfinal matchup. Gambit Gaming versus Ninjas in Pajamas. The European LCS Regional Playoffs, live from Gamescom Cologne, Germany. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Back him up. Come on, everybody, it's alive! Ori. Pierre red buff slow. No! Kill her again.
The damage that's coming into those turrets is massive. Creatine going to throw things down there. This is a lot of damage onto EG. Snoopy actually going to pick up the kill. Kirk dies in the end.
Finish. Spawn.
One more game!
Let's go, D3G3. Yeah!